Okay. Move that over.
All right. 271 on the road to 300.
So I did the math, and if we don't miss any weeks, we will hit 300 the week before Thanksgiving.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And next week, I think I'm going to review Wizards and Warriors. I've been meaning to do that game for like forever now, but I keep forgetting.
Okay.
And I finally got a Final Fantasy game.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun,
dun.
dun.
Okay. I got all my tabs open. So let me just pull up the chat. I have no doubt as soon as we finish the show, I'm going to restart Zoom and that freaking camera will be working.
Yeah. Let me undo this real quick and pull your camera down just a little bit and center you.
Let's see.
All right.
Facebook.
Now we're looking more even.
Did you watch the new trailer for Rescue Rangers?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's that movie's going to be fun.
That's cool.
It's basically it feels like it's going to be the modern day Roger Rabbit.
That's cool.
It looks like it's going to be just pure fun.
Well, it'd probably be easier to do now that Disney owns everything.
There's some cool cameos in there was some in the first trailer, but in the new one they put out today, they even put in the live action Pumbaa from the new Lion King with
That's
Seth
cool.
Rogen's voice. So I thought that
Wow.
was kind of cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to look at it when I get done here.
Let's see.
Oh, not yet. Damn you, soundboard.
All right,
Uh,
let
I'm,
me
I'm gonna
post that.
I'm gonna get Loop back this weekend and try, and I might give you a call on Zoom so we can test it out to see if you can actually hear it when I
Okay.
play stuff. So
Yeah. No, that's good with me.
I'm gonna pay $100 for it. You better be able to hear it. All right. Let me know
All
when
right,
you got.
I got all the tabs open, so I'm all set.
All right. And we can mention your wedding too. We didn't even get to talk about it last week.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna lead off with it.
All right. Well, here we go in three, two, one. Greetings, programs, and we're back for another episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
So we didn't get to talk about it last week, but you got hitched last weekend.
I did. I've got the hardware on my hand to prove it. So, yeah, thank you to everybody, all the listeners, for all the kind words and the weeks and months leading up to the wedding. I don't think it could have gone much better. The ceremony was outdoors, as you know, you were a part of it. So, yeah, rain held off just long enough for us to get the ceremony in and take all the pictures we needed.
Just
So,
in time.
yeah, about 30 seconds after we finished, it just started pouring.
So idiot
But
me. tell this story. So I wasn't there on Friday for the rehearsal, so I was only there on Saturday for the actual wedding. And of course, I'm one of the groomsmen, and I had to pick up. Derek had to pick up my tux and everything. And so I get into the tux for Saturday. We do the ceremony. We get done with all the pictures and stuff afterwards. And the lady was like, after we were doing pictures, the lady's like, "Okay, you're done. You can go do whatever." And I'm like, I took that as my cue to be like, "All right, time to get out of this suit." And so I go and get out of the suit, And then I go into the reception hall, and the lady comes up to me and she's like, "You need to do the walk-in." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What?" She's like, "You need to come walking into the reception with the bridesmaid that you walked out with." I was like, "I kind of took the suit off already, so."
Eh,
Eh,
I mean, it happens.
I'm an
So
idiot.
that's it's all good. No, but it was a fun day. So thank you for you, Wally, and Angelina for making the drive and you being a part of it. So
Oh, you're
it
welcome.
was really cool.
Yeah, it
It
was a
was it
fun
was really
day.
cool. Yeah,
It
it really was.
it was very looked expensive.
We yes, I'll just say yes.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
only imagine.
it's it's all good though.
Yeah,
It was worth it.
it was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
It was like on a plantation or something there
Hmm.
in Pensacola, and man, it was way more than I was expecting. I was thought we were going to be like in a park or something.
Yeah, it was basically the family that owns the land, like they run that entire venue, and the basically the actual ceremony was next to a little pond lake type area that they have out there.
Mhm.
They've got a reception hall. It's the people who own it, like the house that we got ready in. That was their house that they live in.
Which they had
That
in
was
the place we got ready, the room. It was like this upstairs loft area, like a living room with a bar, and they had an N64 set up on the TV, and complete with GoldenEye and Mario Kart.
yep. Had I thought about it, I would have brought the Super Nintendo or some of my old consoles, and we could have just
Yeah, no
played some
kidding.
games for a bit.
But it
But no,
was
it
great.
was yeah, it was a really fun day, and it's yeah, I we did nothing the day after.
I'm
Like
sure.
I still feel like I'm recovering from it.
Dude, all I had to do was stand there and I was exhausted the next day.
Yeah, it was a great weekend though, and it was good to see some people that I haven't seen in a long time. Our mutual friend Steve Wise was there. It was
Hmm.
good to see him. Got to see Zach Dykes that I hosted the Nerd Cave with for many years. Hadn't seen him in probably like two years, something like that.
Hmm.
I think it was right both. No, it was right before COVID started. Was the last time I saw him. So
Yeah, last time I saw him was on the set of Parker Syndrome.
yeah,
That was the
yeah,
last
that's
time I
right.
saw
Because
him in person.
yeah, yeah. Funny enough, that was one of the last times I saw him too. Because
Yeah.
we unfortunately we don't keep in contact like we used to. But you know, life happens.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah,
But congratulations. It was a wonderful day, and hope you two have a very wonderful life together.
I think we will. We're off to a great start. So
Yeah.
it'll be there'll be more good times to come.
But we got some news to get to. You want to jump into the news for this evening?
Real quick, for those who are watching the video version, I apologize for my camera angle. I sat down to get everything set up for the show, and my webcam is not working.
Yeah, but
So
it's a dramatic angle. It's like a Dutch tilt.
so now you're kind of seeing what's to my left normally whenever I do the show, but hopefully by next week it'll be improved.
Yeah, you're seeing how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
Of course, all of today's stories are submitted to us by you, the listeners. These specifically by Mr. Armez Jackson, who has made my life so much easier the last couple of years. I am the Rampage, Jacob Craig, my co-host over on Open Micers, and of course Nicholas Sweeney, Nicholas Feeney, not Sweeney Todd. What are we talking about here? If you have a story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. The first story up is from GameRant.com. Sega is working on a mysterious super game project. In 2021, Sega tentatively announced its plans to produce a so-called super game over a 5-year period and with virtually no information on what the game will entail in any way, shape, or form. At the time, the idea was that it would be a major stepping stone towards a better leveraging of the company's classic IP such as Sonic, but a recent interview shed more light on the project. Let's see. The interview consisted of 3 of company's higher ups, including Executive Vice President Shuji Utsumi, discussing the future of the Super game. The exact nature of it is still rather uncertain, but it seems to be a multi-platform AAA release that will seemingly play host to smaller games contained within it, not entirely like Roblox. This tells me nothing. This tells us nothing in this article.
It tells us there's a game coming by
Yeah,
Sega.
Sega's making a game, a
Yep,
super game.
a super game. Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest because Sega outside of Sonic is not really known for its franchises.
Yeah,
I would love if this is just something completely new and original.
yeah.
If you want to make a huge scale game, great. Knock yourself out. We haven't seen anything like that from Sega as long as I can remember. So I would love if they surprise us with something that we know nothing about. It's a new potential franchise we've never heard of and gives us something new to look forward to besides Sonic Origins.
I just kind of hate that we live in a world where everybody's trying to chase that Roblox money when it's a phenomenon all its own and you can't chase that type of thing. It has to be organic. But it's been so long since Sega has really tried to do something on a large scale. And I think it's time that they should, because they do have IPs that people love and adore. Sonic, Streets of Rage, things like that. I hope it's something that's really good. I'm just, honestly, with these kind of headlines, I'm kind of just not going to hold my breath, because when they say stuff like, we want to be, we want to go after that, it would be like Fortnite or Roblox. Like I'm like my interest level just takes a nosedive.
Whatever it is, if they try to go after, the Roblox or the Fortnite crowd, they're not going to be able to get that crowd because Roblox and Fortnite already have that crowd.
Yeah, they've already got that crowd. So
don't I tell people this too, because I've it reminds me a couple of years ago when I hosted this podcasting panel here, and someone asked me like the biggest piece of advice that I could give for starting a show, and is don't try and be the next, Joe Rogan or Kevin Smith. Try and be the first you.
Yeah.
They need to try and be the first of something new, because we live in an age where we get a ton of remakes and reboots. We see it in the movie universe all the time. Heck, I'm a little fatigued with the Sonic collection that's coming out, and you know how big of a Sonic fan I am. But it seems like every year we get some type of Sonic, compilation or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have to always revert back to the tried and true formula. I know it works, but I just love if they did something new, because it'll make me think of a time when Sega was much more relevant than they are now.
It just always feels like people are chasing what is already popular. Like 10, 15 years ago, it was everybody wanted to be the next WoW. Everybody wanted to be the next WoW killer. And it never really happened until, everything happened at Activision and Blizzard. And then everybody left and went and checked out all these other MMOs, and we're like, hey, there's some pretty good stuff going on out here. We've been, locked into this system for so long that everybody ignores everything that's happening. And it's the same thing here. Everybody wants that Roblox money. Everybody wants that Fortnite or PUBG. Like, everybody's always chasing, that thing that's hot at the moment, instead of thinking about, well, what's next? What can we do to further this or go beyond it?
Yeah, it's I get, and don't get me wrong, like I enjoy, like, say, the new Batman that came out, but again, it's going back to the same well. It's told differently, but
Yeah.
the heart of it, it's still the same thing. I
It
just like
doesn't
to
do
see
anything new. Like, it was cool, but there wasn't anything there I haven't seen before.
it wasn't a game changer by any stretch. It was a fun movie,
Yeah.
but it's Batman. You know what you're going to get with Batman.
Yep.
I would just like to see Sega do more, is really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. They just need to find that one thing that'll give them that grip to come back out of the shadows,
Yeah. Well, keeping on with the Sega discussion, this is from comicbook.com. Streets of Rage movie adaptation coming from the creator of John Wick. An adaptation of Sega's Streets of Rage video game series is currently in development. According to sources for Deadline, the project is in the works from Sonic the Hedgehog producer DJ2 Entertainment, as well as Escape Entertainment. DJ2 is also currently working on an adaptation of the video game It Takes Two. A script on spec for Streets of Rage has been written by Derek Kolstad, the creator of the John Wick franchise and writer of Nobody.
That was a
His
good
work,
movie. I just
I
watched
have,
that not too long ago. Holy crap, that was a good movie.
I still need to see it. I really want to though.
Dude, you have to. Please watch that and let me know what you think.
Oh, I will. His work should give readers an idea of the tone that the film might be going for, but there have been no further details about the adaptation at this time, which of course, Streets of Rage debuted on the Sega Genesis in 91, a side-scrolling beat-em-up franchise. Sequels were released in 1992 and 1994. And of course, the recent Streets of Rage 4, which has found strong critical and commercial success. So I don't want to say we told you so, but we've been saying this for years on this show. All we need is a couple of successful video game films, and that's going to get the ball rolling. Look what happened with Marvel and DC back in the day, and look where Marvel is now.
Yeah.
Maybe this is too lofty for me to say, and you can feel free to rein me in if I'm getting a little too crazy. I would love if 10 years from now, the video game movie craze is near the level of the MCU.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, nobody knew the MCU was going to be as big as it was. I mean, back when I was a kid watching, the Incredible Hulk movies made for TV movies, I would have never dreamed we would have had an Avengers, a full-on Avengers movie, and look what the MCU became. So it's not impossible. And, John Wick those movies are great. So if they can, and Nobody is great. So if they can bring that same tone to a Streets of Rage movie, I'm down. That sounds great.
From what I've seen of commercials and the trailers for Nobody,
as
go ahead.
long as they lean into the weirdness of it, they can't just make it, real world, like this could happen in the universe we live in. And they have to lean into the total just weirdness of it.
I think that's going to be key for a lot of franchises. If we get more video game adaptations over the next few years, I think you have to embrace the culture of it to a point.
Yeah.
Like, I get that you got to make little tweaks and whatnot. I mean, they've done it with the Sonic franchise, but it worked.
And if they're going to do Streets of Rage, where's my Final Fight movie? I want to see my boy Hager, pile driving people on screen. I want to see it.
We should do, whenever more news comes out about this, we should do our casting choices for these characters.
Oh, yeah. I'm down for that.
I'm just thinking, would you go as far as to do 80s action style where it's just so over the top, like a Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yes, absolutely.
The spiritual successor to Bloodsport. I love it.
If they did a Final Fight movie and you just slapped a really big, thick mustache on the John Cena and give him a strap over his shoulder, I think he'd make a pretty good Hager.
I think he'd do it.
Yeah, I know he'd do it, but
is it crazy to think that he might be a better actor than The Rock currently?
I'm there. You're not going to get an argument out of me. I kind of agree with that. Just off Peacemaker alone.
Yeah.
If you could say, all right, you could either have Peacemaker or you can have all of everything The Rock has ever done. And I'm going to be like, just give me the Peacemaker. I'm good.
I don't disagree with you.
Rampage in the chat room says friggin' Ryan Reynolds will be Cody. I'm down for that. Who could play Guy? Who could we get to play Guy in Final Fight?
I don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. But yeah, I'm give me all the video game movies. I mean, unless they're really dumb. I mean, I'll watch them. I've watched worse.
I don't think it's in the Google Doc, but I don't know if you saw, but the Mario movie has been delayed.
Ah, yeah, I did see that. I forgot to put it in
Yeah,
the news segment, but
which I mean,
yes,
a lot of movies have been delayed. Like Spider Verse was delayed.
yeah, that's
Uh, yeah, which I is unfortunate because I was actually really looking forward to that movie. But yeah, it's delayed to April. The it's funny looking on Twitter because all the Nintendo haters are like, "Oh, Sonic scared off Mario," but I'm like,
no,
I don't think that's the case.
no, no, not at all. I think
No,
that's going to be a good movie, but we'll
I
see.
think so too.
For the next story, this is not really a story. This is more of a Kickstarter alert. We have a game called Glory Hunters, a unique Game Boy action adventure RPG. It is a Kickstarter that says, help us create a game where you unlock the world by obtaining achievements for a glorious console. Are you ready for the hunt? And let's see, it is an all new action RPG for the original Game Boy console where you progress by obtaining achievements that grant glory points. They are the main currency within the game, and they're mainly used to open paths and move forward in this world. And this looks a lot like Legend of Zelda, if you ask me.
I want to say we talked about this game a few weeks ago
I
because we
think
brought
we
up that same
did.
point. This it looks very, very much like Link's Awakening.
I think we did talk about this because they had a $39,328 goal. They are currently at $40,319 with 27 days to go. So they've already met their goals.
Good for them. I
Yeah.
mean, to be perfectly honest, good for them. Like this looks like a game I would play. I mean, it's very Zelda like, but I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. I just hope that our friends from Japan don't shut it down.
Yeah. But if you're in the mood for a new original Game Boy RPG, head over to Kickstarter and type in Glory Hunters.
Yeah, there's a trailer on the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It looks like a fun game.
It does. I mean, it looks a lot like a Zelda game, and I really do hope that Nintendo doesn't put the boot down. But we'll see.
If they did, it would not surprise me.
Yeah, it's Nintendo.
Yeah. So this is a fun story from
Yeah.
giantfreakingrobot.com. The Predator officially joins the Marvel universe. Is the Predator a Marvel villain? At long last, we finally have an answer to the question we just posed, and it turns out that while Predators may not be a villain or a hero per se, they are absolutely coming to Marvel. Specifically, Marvel Comics is publishing their first official appearance of the extraterrestrial hunter in a new series written by Ed Brisson and illustrated by Kev Walker. While there is a long history of various predators being portrayed by Dark Horse Comics, this will be the character species' first appearance in Marvel Comics since Disney acquired 20th Century Fox in 2019. Given Disney's all encompassing need to obtain all intellectual property that has ever, it is actually a little surprising it has taken them this long to utilize the Predator. Not a partnership I would have immediately expected, but I'm intrigued.
Hey, if the Predator shows up in the MCU, I'm down for that.
Forget King the Conqueror. Give me the Predator against the new Avengers, and
Oh,
and you
give me an army of Predators against the Avengers. I'll go see that movie. I'll go see it twice in one day.
it's like, oh yeah, we're doing a double feature at the theater. Oh, what two movies are we seeing? No, we're seeing Avengers versus the Predator twice.
You know what's funny? I picked up a bunch of VHS tapes at the thrift store a couple of weeks ago, and Predator 2 was in that pile of VHS tapes I got, and I watched it. Was it last weekend? I think it was last weekend I watched it. That movie is so much better than it does. Like that, I feel like it didn't get the respect it deserved.
It didn't because people had such people loved the first one so much that it was almost like the sequel couldn't help but be a
But
disappointment.
that's the
It
thing.
didn't have Arnold in it. It was a different story, but it
Yeah.
worked.
It dared to do something different because if you would have just redone the same thing again, people would have hated it even more. But it dared to do something different and tell a different story while at the same time expanding that world, like the lore of the Predator. And I'm sorry, but Danny Glover's great in that movie. He's so likable, but yet he doesn't look it. But that dude is ripped.
Mm-hmm.
He could hang
He
with Arnold. He was beefy.
he's still going strong too.
He's too old for that shit.
Well, and you're exactly right, because it was a completely different setting, because I liked seeing like what would happen if the Predator invaded like a big city with a bunch of people. You
Yeah.
actually got to see the inside of the Predator spaceship. You saw the skull of the xenomorph, and you're just like, oh, they exist in the same universe.
Yeah. Like
Like it's there were so many cool moments in that movie.
and I highly recommend, if anybody just kind of brushed that movie off back in the day, or if you've never seen it, I highly recommend you go back and take another watch at that movie. I mean, yeah, it has its flaws, and I really think if they would have had a better director, it would have been a better movie, but it's serviceable for what it is. And you'll if you've never seen it, you'll understand what I mean by that. Like, it's not as dynamic and as the original Predator was, because that was John McTiernan, the man who did Die Hard, also like a year later. Like, the man knows how to shoot action and do an action movie. And I feel like the Predator 2 was made by somebody who had never really made an action movie before, and sort of knew how to do it, but it would have been so much better if you'd have had another like John McTiernan to come back and do that movie as well. I feel like it would have been up there with, Die Hard and Predator. It would have been a much better, more loved movie.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, but it's still a good movie in itself the way it
It's
is.
got Bill Paxton in it. I mean, being as Bill
R.I.P.
Paxtoniest.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to go back and look at movies of that era and just think, was this as bad as you remember? Because I never thought Predator 2 was bad.
I didn't
It was
either.
different, but it's not bad. Like, that doesn't make it bad.
I just remember when I saw it as a kid, I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on VHS. We rented it. And I only saw it the one time. And I remember just not liking it as much as the original. And watching it again, a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, it really opened my eyes to, like, this was not a bad movie at all. Like, this movie deserves to be at least a cult classic status.
Mm-hmm.
That's
No,
my
I would
opinion.
totally agree with that. No, I agree.
Yeah, even Axblade in the chat room said he enjoyed Predator 2.
It's a good movie.
It is. Go watch it.
So
And
you're up next.
oh, okay. This is the last story for the night. Oh, this is the last
Yeah, I
story.
believe so.
From NintendoLife.com, our favorite site on the internet. Switch versions of Sonic 1 and 2 are safe as Sega plans to delist classic games. Sega Japan is providing an update on which releases of classic Sonic games we can expect to vanish on the 20th of May. So far, only 10 have been confirmed, and none of them are on Switch hardware, so you still have time to pick up those 3DS versions of Sonic 1 and 2. Here are the 10 games that we know will be removed next month. Sonic the Hedgehog for Xbox 360, PlayStation Now, PlayStation 3, and Steam. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 will be removed from the Xbox 360, the PlayStation, and Steam. And Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will be removed from Xbox 360. And Sonic and Knuckles will be removed from Xbox 360 and Steam. So you have less than about 3 weeks to go pick these up if you haven't already.
Yeah, the Sonic Origins upcoming compilation has caused a little bit of a stir, which
I should have mentioned that they're doing a release called Sonic Origins, and they've got some new stuff that's going to be on it. Like, they're reissuing Sonic 1, 2, and 3, a Sonic CD, and they're adding like all kind of different stuff to it. And it's basically going to be a AAA title. It's going to be full price game, but it's like all new stuff. But at the same time, they're going to take all that stuff away at the same time, which I kind of don't like when they do stuff like that.
I don't either. It's so the compilation has Sonic 1 and 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is the when you would plug in Sonic 3
Yeah,
and the lock-on cartridge, it combines the two games together.
which that's the first time it's ever been offered, isn't it? Other than the original game.
I can't quite remember. I believe you're right. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is on Steam,
Yeah, it is on Steam.
but I can't remember if it was released on an actual like console. I'm still likely going to get it for that reason so I can play it on the Switch, but I also don't agree with how they're handling it
Yeah,
because it's $40 minus all the DLC. So there's fully remastered versions of all the games. Some kind of music the special thing they're doing with music, like mirror mode. There's a couple of things that you can get through DLC. I think it's a cool collection and I get what they're doing, but I would have personally added a little bit more.
yeah,
You would have taken away from the origins aspect of it, but I would have thrown in maybe like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, or some of the lesser known 16-bit games like Knuckles Chaotix, which was for the 32X, maybe Sonic 3D Blast. Like, do all of the 2D Sonic games, maybe
yeah.
throw in the Game Gear ones.
Well,
Then after that, it's worth $40 to $50.
I mean, I agree 100%. I just feel like sometimes people just all they want is Sonic the Hedgehog 2, for on Steam. Like they should just go be able to get it and not have
Yeah,
to be forced into buying a $40 game to get, you know, 3 or 4 other games that they might already have.
yeah. I'm not condoning what they're doing by removing the games at all. Like, I think you should still be able to buy them individually if you want. I'm just saying, if you're going to go out all out and make a collection,
Yeah.
then make it worth $40 to $50, because I think it's 40 without the DLC, but you can unlock at least some of it through doing certain objectives, or you can pay, I think it's 45 to get the DLC.
Yeah, we live in a weird world now.
Yeah, when that came out the other day, I'm like, you know me, I love Sonic the Hedgehog, but I don't defend that.
I hate it when companies take existing stuff that's already been put out 100 times and then they're going to quote unquote repackage it and give you like one different little thing and then charge a whole, 40, 50, $60 for it again. And it's like, oh, well, you can't get it anywhere else. You can only get this one certain thing. Like, stop it. Just stop doing that.
And how many Sonic collections do we need? Like, I feel like we get one every other year.
Give us a new Sonic game. How about that?
I mean, they've been working on the open world one now for what seems like forever, but it's not going to come out, I think, till next year.
Well, we'll see.
Though, so they have that classified as an RPG. I don't know if Sonic's going to work in an RPG setting, because they tried it with the 3DS and it was okay.
And we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go and move into this month in video game history. In April of 1994, the Interactive Digital Software Association, the IDSA, is founded in response to the hearings. Name change to the Entertainment Software Association in 2003. The IDSA founds the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, the ESRB, in order to self-regulate content in video games in the mold of the Motion Picture Association of America film rating system. And I remember when all this happened when I was a kid.
Yep, I remember seeing all the classic video game commercials, and it would be rated E for everyone, like the family-friendly ones. You'd hear at the very end, rated E for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's something I don't know why, but I was always drawn to the rating whenever I would look at a box, because like you're just drawn to that little bottom right corner and you see it used to be kids to adults, then they changed it to E, then they added the E 10 plus, but then I'm like, so it's not for everyone. Like just say 10 and above.
Well, there's nothing, especially when when they came out with the parental advisory stickers for music when I was a kid. Nothing intrigues a kid more than a sticker that says they can't have something.
Parental advisory, explicit content.
Mm-hmm.
I've still got several CDs that have that on there. Yep.
I was still able to buy those CDs when I was under 18 because I knew the people that worked at the record store. So they let me buy whatever I wanted.
It's good to have connections.
Yeah. And Axblade in the chat room says, just give us a proper Sonic Adventure 3 Sega Jeepers.
Yeah, I honestly would love that. Like the 3D Sonic games, I know we talked about this with Scott last week. They're not the best Sonic games by far, but I love the storylines for both of them. And I would have loved to have seen what they could have done with a Sonic Adventure 3.
Yeah.
But it never happened. They moved on to Sonic Heroes and other games after that were just okay. But to close us out for this month in video game history, April 23rd, 1995, Satellaview accessory is released for the Super Famicom, aka the SNES console, of course, only in Japan, because they got all the cool stuff.
So the original Super Famicom had a modem for it. Yep. That's awesome.
A whole 1 megabyte of ROM space, an additional 512 kilobytes of RAM. You had that back in 1995, and I've said this before, but could you imagine like trying to do this podcast?
Oh, geez.
The computer would just shut down.
Yeah, it would take like 4 months just to upload one episode.
That would be funny. We were talking about this, this new game that's coming out, and we're like, oh, it's actually been out for half a year.
And I remember seeing a documentary or something on YouTube about, I think Nintendo was actually working on a modem for the US release of the Super Nintendo. And because they did something like this sort of similar for the Sega Genesis. And I could not think of anything worse than trying to game over a dial-up modem in 1994.
They did develop one for the GameCube.
Yeah, I remember there was an accessory.
Yeah, I never had it because I didn't get high-speed internet until mid 2000s, so it was not in the cards for me to have the GameCube modem. But from what I heard, it wasn't that great anyway. So,
Ma, get off the phone! I'm trying to play F-Zero with my friends.
Makes me think of Will Ferrell from Wedding Crashers. Bob, the meatloaf.
Before we go into our review for tonight, Derek has shout outs.
Yes, as always, we'd like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Daniel Salmon, Tyler Watson, Axblade07, Armez Jackson, Hand Solo, Carlos Longoria, aka Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mike Eveland, Jennifer Eveland, and Mr. Brandon Rutledge. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on here at the Nerd Cave Retro podcast. If you want to be a part of our Patreon, you get early access to our fun commentary tracks like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Clue, Street Fighter the movie, Super Mario Brothers, and more recently, Batman the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series. A lot of cool commentary tracks that we've done over the years. That'd be an interesting like top 5 to do between me, you, and Wally, our 5 favorite commentary tracks that we've done. Because that'll be a tough list. Because
we've done a lot so far.
Yeah. And there hasn't really been one that I've been like, man, that sucked.
Yeah, but I still say my favorite one is the Super Mario Brothers, though. That's still my absolute favorite we've ever
done. That one is up there.
The Wizard was good too. I think it was the first one me and you ever did.
Yep, we did it in person too.
Yeah,
I drove all the way to your house, and I think set up like my laptop on a small table, and we just fired up the movie and talked about it. Yeah, that was a fun day. Double Dragon would be up there for me too. Like the movie's so bad, but the commentary was so fun because just we ripped that movie to shreds so much.
Oh yeah, that movie was
But
so
yeah,
bad. It's the only
yeah,
thing that made it good was making fun of it with you guys.
yeah. So if you want to get early access to those and just be a part of our fun Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you prefer to go by, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight, Derek is talking about. That music is so weird.
Well, we're about to get weird because this game is very weird. So this week I'm going to be reviewing Glover, which is a 1998 platforming video game developed by Interactive Studios and published by Hasbro Interactive for the Nintendo 64 and Windows in 1998, and was ported over to the PlayStation in 1999. The less we talk about the PlayStation version, the better, because if you look up some gameplay of it, it looks absolutely terrible.
Is this Hamburger Helper the game?
You know, I was trying to think of where I heard of this game for the first time because I never owned it, but I did rent it from the local video store that we had, you know, back in the day. And I was trying to think, I can't remember if I saw it in Nintendo Power or if I saw a commercial. I don't think it was a commercial. It was probably just some feature in Nintendo Power. And I'm like, oh, this game looks fun. It's a platformer. I want to play it. And I remember, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, you know, when we talked about Glover being, you know, brought over to Steam, I remembered it not really grabbing my attention because it wasn't what I expected. Like, yes, it's a platforming game, but there's puzzle elements added to it. And back then, I just wanted to play straight up platformers like your Marios, your Banjo Kazooies, where the objective was just pretty straightforward. You can just kind of run through levels however you want, collect things, and you go on your way and you beat the game.
I'll be honest. I have never heard of this until you talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Well, and when we talked about it coming to Steam, that's the first time I've even thought of that game since I played it in 1998.
Might have been Axeblade who sent us the news article about it. I don't remember who sent it, but I was like, this is weird. I don't remember this at all.
It's a very odd and quirky game, but I'll get into the gameplay in just a bit. So the story of the game, it takes place in a fictional land known as the Crystal Kingdom. The ruler of the Crystal Kingdom is this old wizard, much like you picture, you know, Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings. And so he has these two magic gloves that he uses to, you know, do spells, mix potions, but both gloves are sentient. They're alive. There's Glover, the title character, and his twin brother. So the wizard's trying to make this mixture of potions. It goes wrong. He gets turned to stone as a result of it, and then falls through, you know, like this is all in like the top of the tower where he's mixing all these potions together in this cauldron. So he turns to stone, falls through the floor. One of the gloves falls out of the window, which is Glover. His twin brother falls into the potion and as a result becomes evil and renames himself. He turns into this like green Frankenstein looking glove called Cross Stitch. He has like red beady eyes and his mouth is stitched together, hence the name Cross Stitch. It's actually really creepy. Whenever you're in the main hub world, the Crystal Kingdom, every now and then you just hear this like creepy evil laugh that overtakes the music. And I like it kind of took me back to originally playing the game, which I was really surprised about because, again, I didn't hold very strong memories of playing it. So what you do is, so the kingdom is run by these crystals that are, you know, that border the castle. When all this happens, it causes the crystals to fall out of their, you know, perch or whatever. But Glover uses his magic to turn them into rubber balls so that they don't break. But then they fall into these different portals that go to different worlds that you go through. So your objective is you have to go through each world, find the rubber ball, turn it back into a crystal, and bring it back to the Crystal Kingdom. And when you get all of them, you restore the wizard and you fight your evil brother. So your objective is you have to maneuver and carry the ball through these different worlds. But the cool thing about it is you can actually change the ball into different types of balls depending on like what you need to use it for. So the standard form is the rubber ball that it looks kind of like the Pixar ball. You can turn it into a bowling ball, which of course is stronger. You can turn it into a ball bearing, which you can use to like attract yourself to magnets. You have to do that later on in the game to get past certain objectives. Or you can turn it into its crystal form, which means that whatever you collect, you get like it doubles your point value. But of course, if it gets hit, it breaks. So you take your risk there. So there's puzzle elements that are prevalent throughout the game, and I think that's originally why I didn't really care for it, because it wasn't what I was looking for. But I do have to say that going back and playing it, I have a little bit more of an appreciation for it. Like, it's still not my favorite game of all time, and it's not my favorite, but I don't entirely dislike it like I remembered in the past.
Yeah.
So the game itself is pretty lengthy. I feel like there are 6 or 7 worlds that you go through that each have 6 or 7 different sub portions. So almost like a world 1-1 or a 1-2. So it takes you a while to really get through the entire game. So there's 7, including the Crystal Kingdom hub world. There's 7. There's Atlantis, there's a carnival world, a pirate world, a prehistoric, the Fortress of Fear, and the final world is a space themed called Out of This World. Each world has a boss. Atlantis actually has 3. You fight a whale, a crab, and a flying fish. The bosses are weird. Like, this is a very quirky and weird game. And this creeped me out, but in the carnival world, you fight a giant clown named Clonk. So if you don't like clowns, I would probably get somebody else to play through that for you, and then you can resume. So
is this sort of like playing it? It seems like sort of a Marble Madness type of game.
A little bit. That's actually a good comparison, because I was trying to think of what to compare this game to, because I haven't really played anything like it, in the sense that, like, yeah, there are some platformers that have a little bit of puzzle element to it. Like, you could say that about some of the 3D Mario games, but not where you have to take, like, the game is based around you carrying this object from point A to point B and getting through all the obstacles in between. So I'm trying to think of a way to say this, like, because I don't want to bash the game, because I have actually kind of enjoyed going back and playing it. And I think it was Butcher said on Twitter that he loved Glover growing up. And then in doing more research on it, I found that the game actually does have a pretty good following and was pretty highly regarded back in the day. Like the reception of it. Let me pull it up here real quick. Edge gave it a 7 out of 10. IGN gave it an 8.3. PC Zone gave it a 67. The one thing I will say, and we've talked about this with the N64 and its graphics, they don't hold up.
Yeah.
Especially this one. Like, this game was pretty ugly to go back and look at. The gameplay is still good. I like the music. I don't love it, but I do think it is appropriate for this world, and each world that you go to, the music fits. and I don't think you can ask for much more than that. And some of the puzzles are pretty creative and pretty fun and challenging, kind of to the point where it's like, okay, I might have screwed it up, but I want to keep going.
Yeah.
So overall, I would say it's a better game than I remember. It's still not entirely my cup of tea, which is kind of crazy to think because I love platforming games, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up with it, but
Yeah.
I would just say it's okay. Not a terrible game by any stretch, but I wouldn't call it like an absolute game changer in the platforming world.
I, I was reading the thing here, and it said that I think the reason we talked about it a few weeks ago is in 2017, Pico Interactive focused on re-releasing old video games, physically acquired several properties from Atari, including Glover. They said they're going to re-release it to Steam, and then on March 7th, 2022, they announced a redone version of Glover for modern computers using the game's original source code would be released on April 20th. So it's out now on
Mm-hmm.
Good Old Games, Steam, and the upcoming Bleem store. What is Bleem? Oh,
They're also
PlayStation emulator. Yeah,
they're
okay.
they're also going to be finishing the sequel that was supposed to come out for the N64, but it was never finished. So it'll be interesting to see how they improve on the original game. But
Yeah.
overall, I would say that I'm trying to think of a number score. Like I wouldn't give it as low as like a 2 or a 3, because there are some people who have given it as low as that. Like it says here, despite positive reviews for the N64 version, the PlayStation version was heavily panned by critics. Matt Wine of IGN gave it a terrible 2.6 out of 10.
Wow.
They wrote the game looks bad in comparison to both the N64 and other PlayStation games. Miguel Lopez of GameSpot also criticized this version, stating that Glover, despite its interesting play mechanics, seems to have lost its soul in the port from the N64. I never played it for Windows, so I can't really speak on that, but I do remember back then reading reviews of the PlayStation version and people just talking about how just atrocious it was. So
Yeah.
I I took their word for it and never bothered to try it, but I would be interested in the sequel, like since it is going to happen, I'd be curious to see how they improve on the original version. But as far as Glover 1, still, like I'm not going to say that it just 100% changed my mind like I did Donkey Kong Country 3 when I reviewed it a while back on the show. I still don't particularly care for it. Like it's not my cup of tea, but I can appreciate now that I've gotten older and have played it almost with a fresh set of eyes. I can appreciate what they were trying to do by adding a new layer to the platforming genre,
Yeah.
even though I think it could have been done better, and maybe they'll do that with the sequel. I'd give this game probably, I'd say between a 5.5 and a 6. So like it's very average to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much to say about this game. Like, it's so weird. I just,
Yeah,
like looking at at some of these, just the screenshots of it and just the cover art alone, just, I don't know, there's something about it that just, it doesn't look appealing. The cover art doesn't at all.
I mean the whole concept is really weird of playing as a sentient magician's glove.
But if this was
And
set up like, like you were talking about, like if this was uh, more like a Marble Madness type of game where you're moving the ball around with the hand, like, trying to get it to go to different places and things like that. That would be interesting to me. But I just don't know about the whole like mixing that with platforming and stuff like that. That just seems, I don't know, like a little too ambitious.
and you can tell that they were really kind of pushing the limits of what you could do, because say if you have to go up a set of steps, you can dribble the ball like a basketball, or you can toss it. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to toss it because it's going to go over the edge, and then I'm going to have to go back and find it again.
Yeah.
So I I liked the ideas that they came up with. I just felt like maybe they were a little bit too ahead of their time. Like I could have seen this maybe being more successful for the GameCube or the Wii.
Yeah. And this seems like it would make like a decent, phone game or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that, but I'll be interested in the sequel for sure. So hopefully they, do what I just said and expand upon what they did with the first one and maybe clean it up and make the gameplay a little bit better. But I didn't hate the game, so I I think I was going to surprise people by saying that like I'm not going to come on and just rip the game to shreds because I've said that when I initially played it I didn't care for it, but it's not a bad game. Like maybe if I had grown up with it and actually liked it back then, I would have a bit of a different opinion on it. But in going back and playing it with a fresh set of eyes, I'd say it's an average platformer. But I would recommend if you're intrigued enough by it, then don't just assume it's going to be bad. You should try it out for yourself. And I say that about most games.
Yeah.
Try it out for yourself and form your own opinion on it.
And even at the time, this wasn't even aimed at, at me because I was 21 years old at the time. This was not like anything I would have remotely wanted to play at that time.
Yeah, and see, I would have been 12 when this came out. So I was like maybe right on the edge of the appeal.
Yeah. But that's cool though. I mean, you didn't hate on it. So
yeah.
I think a lot of people in our Discord are like, whew.
No, I said you guys might be surprised at my thoughts on it. So no, I didn't hate it. Like there are fun elements to it. Like it's an interesting, quirky universe that they built.
Yeah.
Very, very strange, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these games, especially for the Nintendo 64, I don't know what they were thinking with a lot of the cover art for these games because a lot of those games just did not have good cover art.
No. And this isn't one that does have good cover art.
It looks like a bad Photoshop job, and you don't even know what you're looking at. Like, what is this?
This would have been me playing around with Photoshop in college.
Yeah, it looks very even at the time. I mean, Photoshop was what, like 3 or 4 years old at this time. Like it still looks like amateurish, like a seventh grader would have made.
Now you're giving me flashbacks to using CS5 in college.
No kidding. I guess that's going to bring us to the end of the episode.
Yep, that's my thoughts on Glover.
And next week, I think I'm finally going to do Wizards and Warriors for the NES because I've been kind of off and on playing that game for a while now and just never got around to playing it enough to actually warrant reviewing it. So I think I'm finally just gonna jump in and play it and review it next week. So I've been wanting to do it for a while because eventually I want to get to Iron Sword so we can talk about Fabio being on the cover of an NES game.
Yes. I mean, that's worth the discussion alone.
I wonder how many 80s moms in the 80s bought Iron Sword thinking it was a romance novel.
We're going to have a huge increase in the female demographic when we do that review.
Absolutely. Fabio, he's still the hot thing.
Should try and interview Fabio.
Oh, yeah, we can get him on the show. Be like, so what was it like being on Iron Sword? Like,
oh, man, that'd be great.
But yeah, that's going to bring us to the end of the episode. So what's going on with the feature presentation coming up soon?
So I mentioned it at the end of last week's show, but it will be relaunching May 16th, which will be on a Monday. And something I'm going to try out, and I'm a little nervous about it, but I'm also excited. I'm going to do the show live every week, like we do Nerd Cave Retro, like you do Open Micers. It's going to be live every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. So I've got the first 3 weeks booked. So stay tuned to social media at Feature Press Pod to find out who those guests will be. And then I guess I can go ahead and announce this. There's going to be a cool arts and film festival in Pensacola called Gulf Coast Feature Fest, I believe is what it's called.
I know I read it the other day, but I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I'll look it up real quick just so I don't butcher the name. But I'm going to be at the festival promoting the podcast. It's going to be May 21st in downtown Pensacola.
Cool.
So I'll be there probably doing some interviews and yeah, just letting everybody know that the show is relaunched. And what I'm going to be doing is Monday, I'm going to put out like a mini episode kind of fully explaining the differences and what I was doing a couple of months ago as to what I'm doing now, because the show is going to be different. Yeah. But it will be, I think, better in the long term. So
cool. Can't wait for the return.
It feels weird because I know the show's been done since early March, but I feel like I haven't done that show in like a year.
I know. It feels like it's been a while.
It really has.
For the Open Micers podcast, last week we talked again with Laura Faye Smith. I didn't get to talk to her the first time. Derek did because he replaced me on that episode of Open Micers. But this last week, I got to talk with her, and we did Easter candy tasting, and she made fun of me. So go listen to that episode.
Yeah, it was. It's up there with the best episodes that you guys have done. Like it was I won't say it was way better than I expected because I knew it was going to be great. But when you think of just people eating candy, you're like, what's going on there? But it's really entertaining. So I would recommend that everybody go check that out.
I feel like that was one of the best episodes we've ever done. And we hit a new level on that episode for some reason. So like we have to maintain that level of comedy throughout each episode.
You're going to have to do once a month candy tastings.
Yeah, I'm down for that. And we can send Jacob into a, diabetic shock.
Oh, man. I love that kid.
But coming up this week, we just recorded earlier tonight. It'll be out this Friday. We did a pop culture palette reunion with Mr. Wiley Phelps and Miss Steffi Lou Who. And that was such a fun episode to do. And I think we maintained the level of humor for that episode. So go check it out at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram.
Well, it was for also a pretty special occasion for the Open Micers, wasn't it?
100 episodes. Thank you. I didn't
think 100 episodes is a big deal.
I didn't think we'd make it past 10, and here we are at 100.
No, I think that's just a testament to the fact that, you guys have been doing the show pretty much every week since you started it.
Yeah,
so
I don't think we've stopped. I don't think we've taken a week off since we started.
So no, 100 episodes is a huge deal. And so congrats to you and Jacob for that. Because I know you guys have, you've done a great job with putting a good show together. So
well, thank you.
All the praise in the world.
Thank you.
Real quick, the festival I was talking about is Gulf Coast Culture Fest.
Okay, yeah.
So
awesome.
Check that out on Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's going to close us out. Is there anything else before we walk out the door?
No, just Sonic the Hedgehog 2 will be out on Paramount Plus May 24th. So I will probably try and take a sick day.
Yeah, Derek's not going to work that day.
I told Samantha, I'm like, worst case scenario, I'm watching it as soon as I get home.
Yeah. Either way is fine. But if you stay home, then you could watch it and then take a nap and then wake up and watch it again.
You'd probably be embarrassed to host a podcast with me if I told you how many times I've actually watched the first movie.
Axeblade, you haven't seen the original or 2? Because he's saying he still needs to see it. He's a slacker. I hope he just means part 2. Oh yeah, part 2. Yeah, it's good. Go see it.
To answer his question, the game is as weird as Crispin Glover.
Go ask your uncle, kids, who Crispin Glover is. But let's go ahead and get out of here. What do you say?
Let's do it.
If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. And of course, we're on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro and individually at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. We have merch for sale at ncrmerch.com. We have t-shirts, mugs, bags, magnets, stickers, whatever you want. Coffee mugs, so you can drink that B-Res coffee out of. Just go to ncrmerch.com. Our Patreon is patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, where this show is here because of you, the lovely patrons. Thank you so much. And head over there. Give us a little money every month. If you can't do that, I understand. Times are tough. Go leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Wow.
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
You blew it!
And that was an episode.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had a little more to say about Glover. I was just kind of amazed at how weird it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cut and dry game. So, and I played it for quite a while. So it's sometimes you just get games like that where it's just kind of, yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's really not much to say about it.
Yeah, I picked up Wizards and Warriors not too long ago, like maybe a year or so ago. And I need to get back to playing it because, like I said, I've been wanting to review it for a while. And I also picked up Legacy of the Wizard a couple of weeks ago. Guy had he wanted like $9 for it. I was like, give you $5. He took it. I was like, okay. It was a really nice copy of it. So I'm going to do that, like Wizards and Warriors, and then maybe after that, Legacy of the Wizard. I don't know. It depends on how fast I can get through the game. But I will go ahead and tell everyone right now, if you're watching on Twitch or seeing this on YouTube, I got Final Fantasy VII.
What?
I got the original on the Switch, and I got the remake on the PS4. So I'm going to play the original.
Dipped.
I'm going to play the original and then play the remake, which I have played the remake for about 2-3 hours. Like, I really got into it. It's really good. And then started playing the original, and I'm enjoying both of them at the same time. So might take me a while to get through them, but yeah, I'm gonna review those whenever I'm done. Yes,
for a second, I thought you.
He said the same thing you, Derek. He's going to check to see if hell froze over.
For a second, I thought you were going to say, yeah, I played it for about 2 or 3 minutes and didn't care for it. So
no, I played the remake first because I picked it up at GameStop for like $11 and popped it in. It wasn't wasn't really knowing what I wasn't really expecting anything. Like, I didn't know what to expect, and it's really good. Like, it reminds me of like Resident Evil a little bit, like the Resident Evil 2 remake. It reminds me of that a little bit.
I know they were working on that remake for a long time, and 7 is, as far as like more modern generation of Final Fantasy, is like the most revered, like the most known.
Well, I was expecting, like Wizards and like traditional RPG type stuff. I didn't know it was going to be like, steampunk, like future Blade Runner type stuff. I'm like, this is awesome. Don't tell anybody I said that.
It's okay. Your secret's safe with us.
But thank you guys for hanging out. Rampage, Axeblade, all you guys for hanging out in the chat room. We will see you guys next week.